But real quick, an update on President Manchin. Colin, if you have this, President Manchin is striking again. He is blocking one of Biden's Federal Reserve nominees. Manchin comes out against Biden Fed nominee Raskin, throwing her confirmation into doubt. Her previous public statements have failed to satisfactorily address my concerns about the critical importance of financing on an all-of-the-above energy policy. Manchin's statement Monday suggested that he doesn't believe Raskin, who has previously called for stronger climate policies and critiqued the energy sector, could serve on the Fed without politicizing her decisions. Quote, the Federal Reserve Board is not an institution that should politicize its critical decisions. The time has come for the Federal Reserve Board to return to its defining principles and dual mandates of controlling inflation by ensuring stable prices and maximum employment. Yes, he's so concerned about politicizing the Fed. Many of Manchin's top donors include executives in the coal, oil, and gas industries. Within the past year, Manchin has received donations from Ryan Lance, CEO of ConocoPhillips, Vicky Holub, CEO of Occidental Petroleum, and Arlene Riggs, the president of Valero Energy. He's also received donations from massive Republican donors, nothing to see there, as well as some big Democratic Party donors, too, that don't want any climate proposals. Then, on top of him blocking Biden's Federal Reserve chair, who, for the crime of calling for climate policies, Colin, if you have this statement he made on, he's not big on electric vehicles, apparently. So Joe Manchin, not so big on electric. Quote, Manchin, I'm very reluctant to go down the path of electric vehicles, Manchin said. I'm old enough to remember standing in line in 1974 trying to buy gas. I remember those days. I don't want to have to be standing in line waiting for a battery for my vehicle because we're now dependent on a foreign supply chain, mostly China. Again, Manchin, and this is one of his big shticks, why he blocked Build Back Better, is because of electric vehicles, and moving towards electric. So he's worried that we're now dependent on the foreign supply chain, mostly China. So he doesn't want to be dependent on the foreign supply chain for electric vehicles. So he doesn't mind that we're probably going to be lining up at gas stations now pretty soon because his donors are the fossil fuckers. He doesn't mind that. But he does mind if we'd have to be lining up on a line for electric batteries because that's not his donors. You see how that makes sense? And oh, by the way, he's very worried about dependence on the foreign supply chain, but he has no problem with the TPP that was proposed. I don't think he was in the Senate when NAFTA was pushed, but he doesn't mind globalization, foreign trade, which has basically sold our manufacturing to China and other countries. Doesn't mind any of that. So we could be dependent on foreign countries for our manufacturing if my donors make money off of offshoring those jobs, but we cannot be dependent on foreign countries for the batteries that go into electric cars because I don't make money off of that. And to hell with the global economy, and to hell with the global planet, by the way. And oh, by the way, I don't mind if people are waiting online at gas stations while the fire is encircling them from the climate inferno that I don't give a damn about. And I don't want to go on a monologue because we're about to bring on a new guest on a really important topic. But shame on the squad and shame on Bernie for not going on aggressive offense against this corrupt Neanderthal, Joe Manchin, 8 months ago. They should have been holding rallies, calling out his donors in West Virginia. They should have been on his doorstep, calling him out. Bernie said, let's get rid of Trump and we'll fight Biden on day one. Yet he was very diplomatic initially against Manchin. The most aggressive thing he did against Manchin was write an op-ed in a West Virginia newspaper calling for Manchin, calling him out for not supporting Build Back Better. There was never any rallies against Manchin. We had activists encircling Manchin's little boat yacht, but not the squad, not Bernie, not listing his donors, not calling him corrupt, along with Sinema. And that, by the way, would have gotten media attention. The media wasn't going to cover Joe Manchin's donors or corruption on its own. You need the progressives in the House or the Senate to be calling that out. You need them to be digitally organizing against Joe Manchin. You need them to be in-person organizing within limits. I don't want Bernie gallivanting around the country during a pandemic, but you get my point. So, of course, Manchin is corrupt, but our elected leaders, our progressives, didn't do us any favors trying to negotiate with Joe Manchin. And devil's advocate, people will say, Jordan, if you would have done that, he would have been even more entrenched. You know what? I've been traveling the country for 6 or 7 years now. I've been all over this country. I've covered a lot of corrupt politicians, local politicians, state politicians, national politicians. You know what most politicians have in common? Most of them are incredibly thin-skinned. Most of them basically have some basic insecurities, and most of them do not like being shamed publicly. Joe Manchin's no different. And by the way, when Joe Manchin has been shamed publicly, it has had an effect. So this is what you get when you allow Joe Manchin to play president, when you allow Joe Manchin to block everything. Obviously, Biden didn't fight Joe Manchin either. So there's plenty. I didn't expect Biden to fight Joe Manchin because Biden probably agrees with Manchin on most of this. But I did expect the elected progressives to go on aggressive offense, which we never got. In fact, when I asked Ro Khanna, when he came on my show, why aren't you guys like holding rallies in West Virginia, calling this man out? You could get 10,000 people to a rally pretty quickly in West Virginia. West Virginia, yeah, it's voted red the last 10 years. It's got a long working class union labor tradition. He looked at me like I had three eyes. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.